Amir and I were just watching his one of his favorite shows, Fairy Godparents. And in this show features Timmy, who is a 10-year-old boy, and he has two imaginary godparents that when they're in sort of the human realm, they're goldfish. And when he activates them as his fairy godparents, um, they show up as like little fairies. And one is female and one is male. And they grant him wishes to get him out of precarious situations. And it's a really cute show. I wasn't very sure about it at first. It has some interesting humor in it. It's an interesting show. But anyway, we were just watching it, and the premise of this episode is Timmy is inside of the TV, and without going into the whole like drama of the episode, one aspect of it is that he realizes that when he gets to be an adult, his fairy godparents will disappear because he'll no longer believe in them. And at one point in the episode, he decides to create a time capsule that would help him. And inside of this time capsule, there was an item that would help him remember his fairy godparents when he becomes an adult. And he literally puts a picture in there of him with the goldfish. And the intention is that the goldfish will trigger the memory of these mystical, you could call them now, kind of spirit guides, angels, fairy godparents. And so the picture in the time capsule is intended to trigger his memory and activate this sense of power, that he had as a child, that was powered through his imagination. So he makes the time capsule, and then the episode ends, or the drama of the episode sort of climaxes, and it cuts to a scene of Timmy as an adult, and he now has two children of his own, and he has on like a white shirt, a white business shirt, tie, pants. He's very dapper. You could tell he's a career guy. And he's kind of on his way to work and having this interaction with his children, and the children are playing in the backyard, and they come in and they say, Daddy, look what we found in the backyard. And it's the time capsule that he buried as a child. And he looks at this time capsule, and it's like a kid's lunchbox, and inside the lunchbox are all these little items. And and so he opens the time capsule, and inside is the picture of little Timmy standing next to the goldfish. And the dad, he's like, I remember this. And he remembers as he's, you can see the memories are kind of coming back, and he looks and his eyes zoom in on the goldfish. And his face is at first just kind of neutral. And then suddenly he smiles as if he remembers. And then as soon as he remembers, something goes off and he realizes that he has to go to work. And then that ends the whole imagination. And it's so quick. It's so brilliantly written because it's a very quick smile. And then eventually it's like, okay, kids, got to go to work. See you later. Got to go. Bye. And then the kids are like, wait, hold on, Dad. Like, wait a minute. And so they grab his attention again, and they have like this tender moment. And he says something about, what's the point of a time capsule? And it's like to help you. He says like this rich wisdom. And they have this tender moment, the dad and the children. And then his wrist buzzes. And it's his electronic watch reminding him that he has somewhere to go other than right now. And he's like, okay, gotta go. The buzzer goes off. He immediately loses the inspiration and the connection moment with his children. And he zooms out of the door and he's out of there. And I sat here and I watched that part and I just said, wow, what a brilliant way to showcase the way that technology disrupts your intuition, or rather the risk that technology can disrupt your intuition, because nothing is absolute. Technology can be a tool for memory. But the risk of technology and the risk of really being, truly what it is the risk of not being present, how that disrupts your intuition. And technology is something that has a very, very high probability of disrupting you, which will lead to the disruption of your intuition. And I think this is very profound. I think it's very important that people understand, one, how important the intuition is. And because they understand how important it is, they therefore do the work to protect it. Such as practicing presence and limiting technology in such a way that it does not lead to the gross risk that it can erode your intuition. Now I got my little son right here, Amir.
Hi.
And I'm very, 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 very conscious and aware of his use of technology. And he gets mad at me because I'll let him know, okay, you've been on the tablet or doing too much TV. We got to break that up with a book, which is why he's sitting here in my lap right now with what? We have
book.
A book. Because he's had a lot of TV time. It's Saturday. And he's had some time with his electronics. And we've been outside, though. We balance it out. Because I know this. I know the risk that technology can have on eroding intuition. And I want my son to have a strong intuition. I believe in intuition very, very deeply. Intuition is the thing that can stop you from entering a space that is going to could harm you physically, emotionally. Intuition is the thing that can put you in the place where you meet the person that gets you the deal, that gets you the $1 million. Intuition can save you, and a lack of intuition can absolutely harm you. And don't we want a right size amount of that? Don't we want a right size amount of intuition to where we develop it? Because there's two parts to using your intuition. One, it needs to be developed, and two, you need to trust it. And then three, I guess number three is you need to act on it. And there are specific things that you can do to develop your intuition, to create an environment where you trust your intuition, and to where you actually act on your intuition in the right size amounts. And these are people that have strong intuitions. There's so much research on this, on how they make more money, on how they, there are a lot of physical benefits in this earth on having a strong intuition. So therefore, one, we want to be able to cultivate it. And one way that you can cultivate your intuition is through awareness, which was the beautiful thing about this episode, Fairy Godparents, was that Timmy was hoping as a kid to create a moment of awareness where he was aware of these fairy godparents, where he was aware of this power that he has as a child. He was aware of these amazing adventures, and it was almost like he knew as a child intuitively that this could benefit him as an adult. And it's interesting how every single time he's about to get really tap into that intuition and have an aha moment that could lead to a connection, that could lead to profound thought, that could lead to profound experiences, he gets disrupted by technology. And so it is important that we understand the importance of our intuition. And it is important that we think about technology and the risk of technology and the risk that it can have on disrupting our intuition. And we especially need to make sure our kids understand that. Because the risk of technology is not so much on the adults, it's on these guys. They live in a world where it is 24/7, nonstop access to overstimulation through technology. And it scares me. It scares me that I see the impact that it has on, say, generations just younger than him that are maybe a little younger than me. And how I'm thinking of certain people that have issues with social anxiety. And they have issues with depression and suicide rates and all of these negative aspects. And there is a direct correlation between the way the intuition can actually protect you and protect your mental health. And so it's no wonder that a demographic of humans that received an overexposure in technology now have a softening of a risk management tool that could actually be protecting them in their mental health challenges. But that intuition can't be activated because they're distracted. Because the second that the way that I kind of think of this is the intuition is activated, right? Like, oh, I need to do that. That's inspiring. That's reminding me that I have this idea. Right? It fires off, and it fires off in different ways for everybody. It fires off, and then suddenly the phone pings, and then suddenly the calendar notification goes off, and then suddenly I'm on Instagram, and then suddenly. And so many moments of that in your life to where you don't even sit down and allow intuition. You don't even give space for it. You don't give space, and we're so busy, right? We're so busy because of technology. We have access to the world's calendar. And so we can just do everything. We could do all the things, everything that is happening right now on a Friday in Atlanta right now. I could theoretically know about it and go to several of those things all at once. No, not sitting still and not allowing my intuition to percolate. Not allowing my inspiration and my creativity all go hand in hand with intuition, and not allowing it to breathe and live. And so it's one thing for it to affect us as adults, and it's another thing to affect these children. As children, and then what does it look like when they're adults? It's scary. And that is why we need to be teaching our children mindfulness and meditation, and we need to be very, very conscious of how they consume technology. Because if we want our kids to have strong intuitions where they can be protected during really what could be some turbulent times, society is changing at a rapid pace. And so intuition is going to be more important than ever. And we need our kids to have a strong intuition because it is a strong risk management system for all of the things that could be disruptive in their lifetimes. So be mindful of your use of technology as an adult. Be mindful of your use of technology as with the children around you. And really, really work to develop the intuition. Do some research on ways you can develop your intuition. Just do a quick Google search. What you need, you'll find. Of course, I'll always talk about mindfulness and meditation. As we sit in stillness, we create the environment where the intuition can be heard, because it's not so you're not so distracted. You can actually hear it and listen to it and record it and perhaps act on it. And you can just practice it. You can just allow it to percolate, right? Allow it to be. We need to protect our intuition. We need to understand the role it plays in risk managing our lives. And we need to create lifestyles that invite the intuition to the table, and do the work to exercise the intuition so that it is heard with clarity. The problem is not the intuition. The problem is our interpretation of it. And sometimes we'll mistake things for being the intuition when it's really our ego. And so really the work is to be able to distinguish between the intuition and the ego. And those that can distinguish between the intuition and the ego typically do pretty well in life. Depending on what you consider to be well, though, right? So there's a whole lot of philosophy on that. But as I wrap up this video, and allow myself to just sit here and play with my little son, because he wanted to sit in my lap, and I really wanted to say these words, and so I just picked my phone up and started recording and figured he'd be part of the video, and he's hearing me. Does that make sense what I said, Amir?
Yes.
So we're going to be kind of making sure we're not doing too much technology, right?
Yes.
And we're going to meditate to make sure our intuition is strong, right?
Yeah.
And even if you don't understand that right now, you'll understand it one day, right?
Okay.
All right. Say bye to everybody.
Bye. Make sure to like and subscribe.